The Battle of Goose Green was a textbook military operation where overwhelming British forces crushed a small Argentine garrison in a few hours with minimal casualties. Except that's complete rubbish. Today we're diving into one of the most brutal battles of the Falklands War, British paras versus Argentine forces at Goose Green, and what I'm about to tell you will blow your mind, because British paratroopers attacked over 1,200 entrenched Argentine defenders in broad daylight across open ground with almost no cover. This is the story of the Parachute Regiment's bloodiest battle since World War II, where their commanding officer died leading a solo charge, where soldiers fought trench to trench in hand-to-hand combat, and where a 14-hour battle decided the fate of the Falklands War. But here's the twist: this battle almost didn't happen, and when it did, the BBC accidentally warned the enemy it was coming. Welcome back to the war. Let's break down these two forces. This was David versus a heavily armed, well-entrenched Goliath who knew you were coming. The British, comprising mostly from the 2nd Battalion the Parachute Regiment, roughly 600 paratroopers, elite light infantry. These weren't just regular soldiers. The British Parachute Regiment is one of Britain's most prestigious units. Every man volunteers. Every man passes P Company, one of the world's toughest selection courses. Their commander, Lieutenant Colonel H. Jones, a decorated veteran of Northern Ireland, known for leading from the front. Their weapons were standard British kit: L1A1 rifles, GPMGs, 66mm anti-tank rockets, and a handful of Milan anti-tank missiles. Their advantage? Training and aggression. The Parachute Regiment's motto is ready for anything. They're trained to be outnumbered, outgunned, and still win through speed and violence of action. Their disadvantage? Everything else. No tanks, limited artillery, no air support worth mentioning, and they'd be attacking across a narrow isthmus, a strip of land barely 2 kilometers wide with no cover. The Argentines, under Task Force Mercedes, had over 1,200 troops, primarily from the 12th Infantry Regiment and 25th Infantry Regiment. The 25th had commando training. These were elite troops. The 12th were mostly conscripts, but they'd be digging for weeks. Their commander, Lieutenant Colonel Piaghi, an experienced officer who turned Goose Green into a fortress. The Argentines had howitzers, 35mm anti-craft guns, heavy machine guns in interlocking positions, mortars, minefields, ground attack aircraft at the nearby airfield. Their advantage? Numbers, fortifications and firepower. They'd spent weeks preparing defensive positions, trenches with interlocking fields of fire. They had the high ground, and they knew the British were coming. Their disadvantage? Morale was mixed. The elite 25th Regiment was motivated. The 12th Regiment, conscripts? Less so. Many were teenagers from northern Argentina, freezing in the South Atlantic winter, wondering why they were fighting the islands they never heard of. On April 2nd, 1982, Argentina invades the Falkland Islands, a British territory in the South Atlantic, 8,000 miles from London. The Argentine militia junta seizes the island. Britain's response? Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher sends a naval task force, 26,000 troops, 127 ships, 8,000 miles across the Atlantic. It's the largest British military operation since World War II. On May the 21st, 1982, British forces land at San Carlos on East Falkland. The beachhead is secure. Now they need to advance towards Port Stanley, the capital, where the main Argentine garrison is dug in. But there's a problem. Goose Green. London wants a victory fast. The British public is watching. The UN is pressuring for negotiations. Thatcher needs proof that British forces can win on the ground. So two para are ordered to attack Goose Green, take the airfield, destroy the garrison, show the world Britain means business. But there's just one problem. On May the 27th, the BBC World Service broadcasts British forces are poised to attack Darwin and Goose Green. The Argentines hear it. They prepare. The element of surprise, the one thing the British had, is gone. But two para is already moving. And at 3:35 AM on May the 28th, 1982, the battle begins. But what happens in the first hour nearly destroys the entire attack. At 3:35 AM, HMS Arrow opens fire with naval artillery. Shells scream overhead, slamming into Argentine positions. The three British 105mm guns join in. It's supposed to soften the defences. It doesn't. A Crew advances towards Darwin Hill. B Company moves along the coast toward Boca House. D Company push forward to the eastern side, and then the Argentines open fire. Machine guns, mortars, artillery, interlocking fields of fire, exactly as planned. The British advance grinds to a halt. Men dive into peat bogs, behind gorse bushes, anything for cover. 3 men are lost in taking Coronation Ride, Private Fletcher and Lance Corporals Cork and Bingley. Dawn breaks, and now the British are exposed. Daylight reveals their positions. Argentine gunners adjust fire. The attack is stalling, and that's when Lieutenant Colonel H. Jones makes a decision that will define the battle. Around 10:30 AM, A Company is pinned down near Darwin Hill. Argentine machine guns have them trapped. The entire assault is grinding to a halt. Lieutenant Colonel Jones moves to the front. He's supposed to be commanding from the rear, but that's not his style. He grabs a weapon, he charges, straight at an Argentine trench, firing as he runs. His adjutant and bodyguard try to follow. Jones is hit, he falls, mortally wounded. The commanding officer of two para is dead. Lieutenant Colonel Jones will be posthumously awarded the VC, but right now two para has lost its commander in the middle of a battle. Major Chris Keeble takes over, and the fighting gets worse. B Company captures Boca House after brutal close quarters fighting. C and D companies push forward towards the airfield, but every inch is contested, and they are taking direct fire from anti-aircraft guns. At the airfield, D Company take multiple casualties, but a counter-ambush led by Sergeant Meredith saved the lives of his men pinned down by enemy fire. For this, he receives the Distinguished Conduct Medal for his actions, and the 25th Regiment fall back to Goose Green. By afternoon, two para has advanced, but they're exhausted, running low on ammunition, casualties are mounting, and they still haven't taken Goose Green settlement itself. The Argentines are fighting hard, the 25th Regiment especially. These aren't demoralised conscripts. As darkness falls, the British consolidate. They've taken most of the isthmus, but at a terrible cost, and tomorrow they'll have to assault Goose Green itself. Major Keeble has two choices: fight on or demand a surrender. He sends a message to the Argentine commander: surrender or face annihilation from artillery and airstrikes. It's partly a bluff. The British are low on ammunition, exhausted, but the Argentines don't know that. And on May the 29th, Lieutenant Colonel Piaghi surrenders. Argentine troops lay down their weapons. 961 prisoners are taken. The Battle of Goose Green is over, but the cost? You won't believe the numbers. The battle was brutal. The British had 18 killed and 64 wounded. That might not sound like much, But remember, 2 Para only had 600 men, and that's 15% casualties. For Argentine casualties, the estimates vary. Official figures are 45 to 55 killed, 112 to 145 wounded, 961 captured, but some sources suggest up to 200 killed. What's certain is the 12th Infantry Regiment was gutted, 35 confirmed kills, 75 wounded. All civilians survived, but spent 28 hours under fire, terrified. For the British, this was the bloodiest single engagement of the Falklands War, more casualties than any other battle. For the Argentines, it was a catastrophic defeat, but here's the question: was it worth it? Because what this battle achieved changed the entire war, and the answer might surprise you. Militarily, Goose Green was a decisive British victory, but strategically, that's complicated. The airfield was captured, Argentine air attacks from Goose Green stopped, the southern flank was secure, British forces could advance to Port Stanley without worrying about their rear, but more importantly, morale. British morale skyrocketed. They defeated a larger entrenched force, proven they could win on the ground. The Parachute Regiment's reputation was cemented. Argentine morale collapsed. If Goose Green, heavily fortified, numerically superior could fall, what chance did other garrisons have? In London, Thatcher had her victory. In Buenos Aires, the junta panicked. But here's what most people don't know. The battle was controversial, even within British military. Some commanders thought it was unnecessary. Goose Green could have been bypassed. The real objective was Port Stanley. So why risk paratroopers on a sideshow? The answer? Politics. London wanted a victory, and 2 Para paid the price. Lieutenant Colonel Jones's death also sparked debate. Was his charge heroic leadership or reckless command? Some veterans argue he should have stayed back, directing the battle. Others say his sacrifice inspired the victory. 2 weeks later, on June the 14th, 1982, Argentina surrendered, Port Stanley fell, the Falklands were liberated, and it all started at Goose Green. So remember that opening claim. Now you know the truth. British paratroopers, with a numerical disadvantage, attacked entrenched Argentine defenders across open ground with almost no support and won, including losing their commanding officer. 18 British paratroopers died, over 50 Argentines killed, hundreds wounded, all for a settlement and airfield that some say didn't matter. But it did matter, because Goose Green broke Argentine morale and proved Britain could win, and 2 weeks later the war was over. Now go and check out our other versus battles to see more elite forces clash. Hi soldiers, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments, and check out our merchant membership programs. And don't forget to check back in again soon. That's on order.